Barbie, the movie, is finally hitting theatres globally, and thanks to the teams over at Warner Brothers Pictures and Universal Pictures Australia, I had the chance to see the movie a couple of days early. Here are my thoughts. Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colourful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living among humans. I just want to kick this one off by acknowledging the strike that's happening in Hollywood at the moment. Of course, the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild of America are currently striking against the studios. They need better pay, they need better treatment, they need better protections against things like AI, etc. This is not the place to go through all of this. I'm not going to, go in depth on that. There are really great resources online where you can read into it if you want to know a little bit more about it. Essentially, I just want to say that I am in full solidarity with those who are striking. These people who make the entertainment that we love and that we consume, they deserve to be paid as best as possible. They deserve to be paid for what they're worth. They are worth so much more than what they are getting at the moment. And so I hope everything comes to a really great and a really swift conclusion, and everyone can get back to work and keep bringing us the movies. But until then, I am in support and solidarity. Me sitting here reviewing, disseminating, discussing movies in no way goes against that. I'm a journalist, I'm a creator, I have to make my living, and my living is talking about movies. So I simply cannot stop doing that. So with all of that said, let's talk about the movie at hand, which is Barbie the movie. Now, this was one of my most anticipated movies of 2023. So excited for this. The hype has been real. I've been feeling it in my bones. I went so wild that I went and I bought all the Barbie figures from this movie. To just any kind of really great elaborate movie merchandise, I just go wild over it. I had to buy the Barbies, I bought the Corvette, all of that. It's just something I did not see myself doing, but I had to do it because the hype for this movie has been great. I am someone who loves these kinds of big, bombastic, flashy, vibrant, flamboyant films. Some of my favorite movies of all time, The Wizard of Oz and The Great Gatsby and Babylon, of course, which also starred Margot Robbie. Just anything by Baz Luhrmann, the great musicals from MGM and Warner Brothers of the 50s and the 60s, those great big Technicolor extravaganzas, the Busby Berkeley stuff from the 20s, the 30s. I just love flashy cinema, and I think it is such an inherent part of movies and movie making and the history of Hollywood, that movies are supposed to be big and explosive and a little bit over the top and flamboyant. And just something about that kind of the visual style, the thematic style of movies like this just really speak to me as a lover of storytelling and as a lover of cinema. So the Barbie movie just, to me, just like epitomized what movie going is about and epitomized the kinds of things that I love from my films and that I love from cinema. On top of that, this is a movie that is about toys and action figures. And I grew up playing with action figures. I'm still a huge action figure collector. I'm a huge movie merchandise collector. I bought all of the Barbies from this movie, as I said. I bought the Corvette. I have a collection of Hot Toys. I remember playing with my Star Wars figures as a kid, my Action Man and all that kind of stuff. And even if you didn't grow up playing with Barbies, a lot of the gags that this movie is making is just about that enjoyment, that wonderment of being a child and playing with toys. And you've seen these things in the trailers, the way that the actors are performing these characters, kind of a little bit stiff and a little bit rigid and a little bit youthful. And some of the gags where you see, like, Barbie, instead of walking down the stairs to her house, she just kind of floats down and lands in her car, like you would if you were a kid and you picked up the doll, you picked it from the top of the doll house and then plopped it in the car. All these things, even if you didn't play with a Barbie as a kid, you played with action figures, you played with some kind of toy, and this is just this intrinsically linked thing to our youth and our inner selves. And there's something in that we can all really connect to. So there were so many things about this movie that I was really just like firing on all cylinders, just really wanting to see. And of course, the great cast that is attached to the movie as well, that I'll touch on a little bit later. I realized a few days ago that Margot Robbie has actually been in one of my favorite movies of every single year since like 2017. I genuinely think she is my favorite actor working in Hollywood at the moment, because everything she does, I just think is wonderful. But we'll talk about performances a little bit later. I'll say from the top of this that this movie really delivered everything that I was expecting and a lot more. It's very rare that you go into a movie, you're expecting something and it like over delivers. I try not to psych myself up too much for movies anymore, particularly with a lot of big blockbusters recently have been very underwhelming. So you can either go in and it may be a little bit underwhelming, or you go in and sort of, it's like what you were expecting. Barbie manages to just really overdo everything that you are expecting. This is a bright, bubbly, effervescent, flamboyant film in every sense of the word. I've mentioned the visual style of this is just so striking, it's stunning, the colors and everything. The portrayals of these characters are just so over the top and hammy and campy, and just everything just melds together in this really, really beautiful way to make this really great over-the-top film that is just so much fun. And it's a movie that you're just smiling the whole time. It's so funny. This is, I think, and the movie hasn't really been advertised. I think it's been advertised as a bit of a pastiche, a bit of a parody, but it's not really been advertised as the comedy, the genuine comedy that it is. There are huge laughs in this movie, and I wasn't expecting to have so many enormous laughs, and they're almost relentless. And it's not just in that kind of pastiche parody way. There's a lot of really great parody in here that is just so fun, but there's a lot of just really great gags and dialogue, and it's also smart and so witty and sharp. And I really, really wasn't expecting that element of the movie to shine so much. This is before we're even touching on the thematics of the movie. This movie goes in directions I did not expect it to go. This movie has been advertised as Barbie and Ken leave Barbie Land to go to the real world and find themselves. But this movie takes at least 2 massive narrative shifts. I'm not going to spoil them here, because when you're experiencing this movie and they hit you, you're just so taken, you're so blindsided, but you're like, well, of course this is the direction the movie's going to take. And along with that, along with these huge thematic shifts and changes and directions that this story goes in, there's such an incredible message in here. This is a film that breaks down gender roles, gender norms. It breaks down the ideas of society that we're so used to seeing in movies these days, but it tackles it in this really perfect way that I really don't think we have seen. And I know a lot of people are about to click out of the, I clicked out of the review as soon as he said this. I'm gonna get a lot of comments like that, and I welcome them down below, in fact. This is the single most feminist movie I've ever seen. This has such a feminist message, and I think it's wonderful. It is incredible, and it's empowering, and I think so many women and young girls are gonna find so much empowerment from the messages and themes of this movie once it takes those narrative shifts and moves in these incredible directions. This is definitely a Greta Gerwig movie. I mean, her fingerprints are all over this. And this is a real feminist kind of statement film wrapped up as a big glossy Hollywood epic. And I can just feel all the insecure men out there leaving this review, but not before writing some stupid little comment down below. I see you guys out there. I see you. And I think you guys need to see this movie because you might learn a thing or two. But there's just so much to learn from this. And yeah, I say there's great empowerment in here for women and of all ages. But I think the men can get a lot out of this as well. And I think we can learn a lot about ourselves. We can sit back, and I know there's going to be a lot of dudes out there who are going to have none of this, and they're going to leave the theater and they're going to boycott the movie and all that shit. But I think a lot of guys can be able to sit back and just laugh at what is being presented in this movie, how some of the characters are presented. There's so many great things in this movie, and I think it's really wonderful. And no matter whether you're a woman or you're a man, whatever, there's so many great things in this movie that you can just pull from and just enjoy. Then at the end of the day, it is a really fun, enjoyable, whimsical film that, regardless of its message, regardless of its themes, whatever, it's just a really enjoyable comedy. Performance I didn't really touch on, but of course Margot Robbie is wonderful. As I said, I think she's genuinely my favorite actor working in Hollywood at the moment, full stop. Her performance here is just so great, and her performance style, her acting has really just evolved so beautifully over the last few years, where she is just an incredibly talented performer, and she could do just about anything in my eyes, I think. Ryan Gosling here is just stunning. His performance is stunning. He gives it his all. He gives it 110%, and it's corny, it's cheesy, it's hammy, it's campy, and it's just so funny, and he just really lets loose. And I think everyone in the movie just really lets loose. They all know the assignment, and they're here to deliver on that, and they all deliver to the utmost quality. This movie is wonderful. And I think already it is probably my favorite movie of the year, simply because it is just so uplifting, it's so meaningful, it is so powerful, and it's a movie that a lot of people are just gonna love and connect to in so many different ways. And if you're a dude out there and you just don't, you know, it's a Barbie movie or whatever, see the damn film. It's a movie. And I was always brought up with the understanding that a good story is a good story. No matter what it is. No matter whether it's a big bombastic action flick with a Arnold Schwarzenegger shooting down Nazis, or it's a big flamboyant, pink, fluffy, effervescent movie. A good story is a good story. Oh man, I'm so pumped up and so hyped from this film, because it is really so much more than I expected, and I loved it. I loved every moment of this. I can't wait to watch it again and again and again and again. And at that, I am, of course, going to be giving Barbie the movie a 5 out of 5. And at that, I want to know your thoughts on Barbie the movie. If you had a chance to check it out, if you haven't just yet, I want to know your thoughts going into this one. If you're an insecure man baby, of course, fire away down the bottom with all your crap about woke agenda and all that shit. I don't care. We don't care. But fire away down the bottom. It really, really helps push my video. I love it. So fire away on all cylinders if you want. Thanks everybody out there for watching the video. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.